Welcome back. Let's go back to our breaking news story. Dis-Chem has been found to have charged excessive prices during the national lockdown. The Competition Commission says the retailer increased prices on essential hygienic goods, especially surgical masks. Let's speak to the Commission's spokesperson, Sipho Ngwema. Sipho, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So just give us more details about what you found at Dis-Chem.
Thank you, Sean, and good evening. Good afternoon to your listeners. We have been receiving complaints in connection with facial masks sold at Dis-Chem, and since the 28th of March, and we have been investigating those and found that there was credibility and merit in the complaints. And in fact, what we discovered is that in terms of 3 masks that they were selling, they then inflated prices by between 43 and 261%.
Oh, wow.
And now we have prosecuted them. We have taken them before the tribunal for prosecution, and we have asked the tribunal to impose the maximum penalty.
It sounds outrageous. I mean, inflating it by that much. So how much are we talking in rand? How much were they charging for some of these masks, which they shouldn't have been?
In fact, if we look at there's a mask called Blue 50 PC, which in terms of the price that it was retailing before the COVID-19, it was selling at 43.47 per unit. In the unit there are 50 masks, and then the price shot up to 156.95 for the same during the same period. And we could not find any sensible justification of that increase. We could not find any information that related to the input cost that made them to raise their prices or inflate their prices that much. Similarly, there's another mask which they sold at 43.47 and there was another mask which they sold at 13 rand per unit, and they increased that one to 19 rand 3 cents per unit, and which represent 43% in terms of inflation. Even there, they couldn't explain to us why they had to increase the price. What were the factors that made them to increase those units?
So you're calling for a maximum penalty here. What exactly does that mean?
Maximum penalty in terms of the Competition Act is 10% of the company's entire turnover. So we will be looking at 10% of Dis-Chem's entire turnover in this financial year.
And then what about consumers? Is there any recourse for consumers who were ripped off and actually made to pay all of that money?
It will depend when we appear before the competition tribunal in terms of the remedies, because I know that in some of the pharmacies, smaller pharmacies that we've been dealing with, have been able to make sure that they reimburse their customers, or where it's very difficult to trace customers, they have been able to redirect their money to old age homes or similar charities. So we look at other remedies when we are before the competition tribunal.
And then in terms of Dis-Chem continuing to sell these products, do they need to adjust the prices immediately?
No doubt. The first thing that we do, we send a season disease letter, which then says they must stop selling on those prices, they must revert back to their original prices. Very many of the companies that we have issued these letters to, they have done that. In fact, some of them, they've even run specials to make sure that they compensate consumers. So we will see finally before the tribunal whether or not there will be similar remedies in terms of making sure that customers are reimbursed in one way or the other.
And outside of the masks, have you found any other inflated prices?
The product that we're dealing with now, because we have to act swiftly and we have to work or to investigate the complaint that was before us. The complaint before us were the masks. So if there are other complaints with regard to other products at Dis-Chem, we are following up on those, but for now we are focusing on the masks.
And let's continue the conversation about the overall complaints you're getting, Sipho, because I know there were scores, hundreds at one point, where people were complaining about being overcharged. What are those investigations looking like?
Yes, indeed. In fact, we are concluding very many of those investigations. We find, indeed, there's merit in very many of those complaints. Largely, they involve masks, they involve surgical gloves, they involve sanitizers, but some of them now, there's a steady increase in complaints about basic food items like milk, like eggs, and chicken. So we're following up on those, and we are concluding them, and we'll be taking those cases before the Competition Tribunal.
And Sipho, very quickly, your message to retailers that are overcharging and also to consumers who believe that they are being overcharged, what can they do?
The message is simple from the Competition Commission is that we will leave nothing in making sure that consumers are protected. We'll also make sure that we deal with any credible complaint before us, big and small. So we will leave no stone unturned in making sure that every complaint before us is investigated thoroughly and is concluded accordingly, and we make sure that those who have to be prosecuted are prosecuted. So we implore people to stop and desist from inflating prices, but we invite members of the public to continue giving us leads in terms of all these enterprises that are inflating prices unreasonably during this period.
All right. Thank you so much for your time and your insight. And of course, that is Sipho Ngwema from the Competition Commission. Important to note that we will be speaking to Dis-Chem just after 6 o'clock for reaction to that story.